site, and I am just stalling a little bit while we get Facebook Live set up and Periscope set up. Let me turn my volume down here. Um, late night music theory. Okay, that's live. Periscope is live. Twitter handle a born guitarist or rockwellguitarschool.com. Rockwell Guitar School. Rockwell Guitar on Twitter? Dang, I don't even know. That's unfortunate. Um, but anyways, if you're seeing this right now, then you have an in into the late night music theory show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Every Thursday ish, I talk about music theory. We are working our way through the Berklee College of Music Harmony curriculum, and Berklee is well known as one of the best music schools in the U.S., and they make a lot of their books public. And if you just Google Berklee Harmony PDF, you can usually find it. We are just working our way through it, one little segment at a time, and talking about it and answering any questions that you may have. So let's get to it. I'm going to switch to my desktop view. There we go. Just minimize that. All right. So today we are talking about diatonic harmony. And the word diatonic means, it's just, they all come from, it means when many notes are diatonic to each other, it means they come from the same scale. Usually the major scale, okay? Let's jump into this. Any diatonic chord may progress to any other diatonic chord, okay? So more specifically, this is about diatonic chord movement from one diatonic chord to another, okay? There are basically a couple ways to do this that we're going to talk about. Down in fifths, down in fourths, and stepwise motion, aka in intervals of major or minor seconds, and in thirds, major or minor thirds. Okay, so let's talk about each one of these in detail. The strongest movement, motion movement, is down in fifths. Okay, cycle of fifths through the key, diatonic chords. For example, in the key of G major, starting with a G, going down to C, up to D, down to B. Oh, sorry. C, this would be F, down to B, up to E, A, D, so on and so forth, okay? The tensions available are determined by the function of the chord in the key, the tensions that are diatonic to the key, and the tensions that are a major ninth above a chord tone. Okay, so this is actually very condensed and effective advice for choosing tensions without throwing a bunch of explanations at you. I really wish they would have included this in the tensions chapter, but yeah, so any note that is diatonic to the key, not including the chord tones, can be used as a tension, or any note a major ninth above a chord tone. So, for example, with a C chord, okay, key of G, that would be the 4 major 7 chord. C chord, you know the third of the chord is E. A major ninth above that is an F sharp. That's how we get our sharp 11 tension in there. It works. It doesn't sound bad, but it's also not diatonic to the key. Okay, so it's just kind of an exception to that rule. Let's see, flat 13. So we have an F, A, C, D flat is going to be our flat 13 on that chord. Not quite sure why that one works. Yeah, get back to you on that. Okay, otherwise these are all diatonic tensions. Okay. Oh wait. F sharp, A, C. That's why it works. Okay. Just figured it out. Sorry, it's late. That's why we call this a late night theory show. So we have an F sharp, right? That is going to be the root of the 7 minor 7 flat 5 chord. Okay. And the note D, which is diatonic to the key of G, that's the fifth note in the scale. The note D is a major third lower than an F sharp. So that's how we get the flat 13, or a minor sixth above it. Yeah. Cool beans. Okay, that's it. 5/7 to 1 is the strongest diatonic root motion in the key, therefore it receives a special analysis symbol. So these are some symbols that Berkeley likes to use. These are used to diagram chord movement, and I'll be honest with you, when I first learned them, I thought they were kind of dumb. Like, why are they using these arrows? But I I stuck with it and I used them a lot, and like I went through the real book and did a bunch of songs, analyzed a bunch of songs with these arrows and these brackets, and it actually really helps to learn these and use these and analyze tunes with these, because then you start to see groups of chords as progressions. You start to see lines of chords as progressions. So this is the first example in our diagramming notation for from the Berkeley curriculum. Okay, so when you have a 5/7 chord that resolves down a fifth, then we give it an arrow. Okay. The arrow will always be used to show dominant resolution down a perfect fifth. All right. Root motion down a diatonic fourth is also strong, although not as strong as root motion down a diatonic fifth. Okay, strong, but not as strong as down a fifth. Here's some examples. So we got G to D to A to E to B. And I strongly suggest playing these. Like, by now you should be just playing everything you see, okay? Because you're obviously serious about it and you want to get the most out of it. And what is music? I mean, how much of it is hearing? A lot of it is hearing. So definitely play that. What else do they say about this? Not much about perfect about fourths. Okay. Stepwise root motion is a little more subtle than root motion of fourths and fifths. Okay, so this is kind of, they're addressing the different ways of moving in order of decreasing strength, I guess you could say. Stepwise, so here's stepwise motion, meaning up a step or down a step in the scale. So G, A, B, C, B, A, G, C, D, E, D, okay? Up a minor second or major second. So here are the chords. Cool. Make a note of the 5/7 sus4 chord. We'll be talking about it next week, I believe. The other diatonic root motion is down or up in thirds. Movement down is more common than movement up. Okay? So this is probably the most subtle because chords are stacked in thirds, and if you play these, it starts to sound like just extensions of the chord. You'll understand why later, or you might understand why now because it's just up a third or down a third. Okay, so if you remember seventh chords, for example, what's in a G triad? G, B, and D, right? What's in an E minor triad? E, G, and B, right? So they share two notes. An E minor 7 chord is going to have E, G, B, and D, right? That's E with a G triad stacked on top of it. So this is kind of why it starts to sound, when you just play them together, they don't sound very unusual at all because they make theoretical sense. They make sense to our ears because we hear a lot of these chords in the music that we just listen to without thinking very much about it. So that's movement in thirds. In reviewing all the previous examples, take note that they are repeated. Okay, so when you're playing these, observe the repeat signs. If an ending point is sought, the best final chord will be the 1 chord. The 1 chord may be followed by any other chord because it represents a point of harmonic arrival. Yeah, so this is also a really good way to explain to someone how to find the key of a song without throwing a bunch of music theory knowledge at them. Basically, you have a group of chords, and whichever chord sounds the most final to end on is usually names the key of the song, and you can do that. You could describe that to people, and they can reliably find it on their own just because they hear so much, because so much of our music is based on the major scale. And you might not play music or you might not know a lot about music, but you hear the major scale so much in the music on the radio that you just kind of know it subconsciously. So that's something that's kind of cool. All right, that concludes our lesson. Next week we'll be talking about 5/7 sus4 chords. We have no homework tonight, and I think homework will be a less common occurrence. However, I do encourage you to seek out opportunities to use these examples and play them and use the theory presented in these lessons. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Alex Bourne. Once again, this is coming to you courtesy of Rockwell Guitar School in Shoreview, Minnesota. Give us a call, 612-568-7433. You can also just hit us up in the comments on whatever platform you're watching us on, and we will answer all of your questions. Okay? Thank you so much. Have a great night. Peace.